Welcome to the Viking Age podcast. It's the official podcast of the VikingAge.com. My name is Schad. I am a writer for the Viking Age Zone coverage. Bring me the news and the Brookings Register. My co-host is Adam Patrick, the managing editor of the Viking Age. We do this every Monday with a late week episode right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day. But however you consume us, make sure you rate, comment, like, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode and we can spread the word to the masses. Great to have you back, Adam. Great to have our normal format back after a couple of scheduling conflicts. And I know we're a little bit early, so I don't know if you get in trouble with your boss. I apologize. I have to go on assignment a little bit later tonight, so that's why we're on a little bit earlier here today. Thinking about what to talk about today, I was kind of looking, and the NFL schedule is going to be released on Wednesday. And normally, this is kind of like, oh, cool type of thing. But the NFL has turned this thing into an event. It's not just a schedule, it's something that's going to control our lives for the majority of a 4 or 5 month stretch. So I, thought we could either talk about rookie minicamp, talk about they signed the kicker. Did you see that? Will Reichard.
Big news. And the 7th round pick.
Cold-blooded sniper, Will Reichard. And the guy that you predicted is going to be at the WWE Performance Center here
in
a couple of years. Levi Drake Rodriguez.
It's perfect.
Yes. So we could do that. We could talk about how JJ looks and everything else. Or
because apparently we care about rookie minicamp apparently now.
I
don't know if you've noticed all the stupid overreactions. Oh, JJ can't throw to Josh McCown in practice.
It's a double hitch. He double hitched on a route.
Remember when Jamar Chase couldn't catch? Oh, yeah, that's
funny. Some things come true, like when, Traylon Burks couldn't, breathe. That didn't turn out to be a good omen, but I don't know. Everybody's like, I need more JJ McCarthy content. I'm like, I don't care. There's a receiver that ran a hitch route against some cones. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, I did see some stuff where people are like, our media team is the worst. They don't even put out actual plays. And I'm like, you realize this is the NFL. They're not going to put out film online for every other team to watch. It's competitive, right? We don't need to see every single throw.
They're going to put it live on YouTube.
Especially in minicamp. Who cares? Rookie minicamp. Who cares? It's like Kevin O'Connell doesn't even care what happens rookie minicamp, really.
What they're going to do is they're going to have the Packers have some poor intern. They're going to stream it live, and he's just going to sit there. If they did stream it live, they don't, but he's just going to sit there and he's going to take notes and be like, okay, double wide set to 13 personnel, spider 2Y banana or whatever it's called. Yeah.
I know they haven't had a rookie quarterback in a while. Well, at least of this, they haven't had a first round rookie quarterback, not since Teddy. So it's been kind of like a generational transition too, because the people who were our age when Teddy was drafted are now, that age when JJ's drafted, and they're like, what's going on? Why aren't they showing anything? It's like they're putting out the same 1-minute slow-mo videos that they have been for the past, decade. So it's just normal stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to get out of the whole because we'll dive back in. We got plenty of time to talk about JJ McCarthy and Dallas Turner and all the rookies later. But with the schedule release, I was wondering, what does the ultimate schedule look like for the Minnesota Vikings? What could you possibly want in the 2024 schedule? Not from a personal standpoint, because obviously, and we'll get into some of those little details here a little bit, but for the Vikings to succeed in 2024, what do you want to see from the schedule on Wednesday night?
I think something that would allow them to get off to a good start. I think good starts typically lead to success. Whether that means a playoff appearance, a division title, whatever, or just getting a winning record with a team that's kind of adjusting right now. Depends on what the Vikings' version of success is right now. But they have a lot of new pieces. I feel like a fast start would be a good way to kind of boost the confidence of everyone. And this is whether JJ McCarthy starts or not. I feel like it would just be good. I went back and looked at the last six or last 5 times the Vikings made the playoffs, and their 6 game starts went like this: in 2022, 5-1, and then they were 4-2 in their first 6 games in 2019, 17, 15, and 12. So getting off to a good start is typically how this team makes the playoffs. So I'm thinking, maybe they get to play the Cardinals or the Giants or the Titans or the Jets in some of those games. Like just games that, they'll be competitive, but the Vikings probably have a better chance of winning than not. That way they can kind of, you know, feel out some of the new pieces they have. That'll allow TJ Hawkinson to get back for some of the bigger games that they have. And if JJ McCarthy's in there, it'll give him an opportunity to kind of probably ease more into his role as a NFL quarterback. So I think a lot. I think pretty much every fan base would like their team to get off to a good start and have an easier schedule to begin with. Because it's just so much harder to come back from, if you're 2-4 or you know you're 1-5. Like, it's very difficult for you to rebound from that. So I think a simple start would be best for this team. That's all I'm hoping for, pretty much.
It's funny because I said the exact opposite, and I'll
Hmm.
tell you why. I,
Hmm.
I want I want an absolute gauntlet to start the season. And this isn't because I don't want the Vikings to make the playoffs or whatever.
Hmm.
I am thinking about the future. I am thinking about JJ McCarthy. I am thinking about the Vikings long term. Like my whole attitude to the 2024 season is whatever happens, happens. If the Vikings are a contender, great. If they suck, sweet. We got a top 10 draft pick next year. Like, I'm cool either way. Like during
Hmm.
the season, I'm probably gonna want to win every game. But I mean,
Hmm.
right now I'm kind of just in, okay, this is a transition year. What do we get? Are we going to be pleasantly surprised? Are we going to go, okay, we need to take a step back? I want a slow, not like a slow start in terms of wins and losses, but I want a tough schedule because I think the Vikings are going to wait as long as possible to start JJ McCarthy. They're going to do like, you know, I hear this thing Kevin Seifert reported, that they're going to have benchmarks for JJ
Hmm.
McCarthy. And it's almost like Mr. Miyagi type shit, right? Where it's just like wax on, wax off.
Hmm.
That was terrible, but you know what I mean. Like JJ McCarthy's going to be painting Kevin O'Connell's house while he's fishing or something and just like, what are you doing, KOC? This is awful. Like, I want some of the tougher games right away on this schedule so I can throw Sam Darnold out there, let JJ McCarthy learn, do whatever he needs to do, and then have a kind of a lull in the middle of the season where you look and you go, okay, Sam Darnold's not working out. Let's have JJ dip his toes in the water. Let's have him play the Titans. Let's have him play, maybe like the Jaguars or something. Like let's ease him into the water. And then at the end, division opponents, just nonstop. That's what I want from the Viking schedule.
There's a couple things I feel like that would be good for earlier this season, because that's when your team is most likely, the healthiest is the beginning of the season. So if you want to have your best players go against some of the best teams, then that's probably when you want to play them. At the same time, if they get off to a slow start and Sam Darnold's in there, does that mean, Kevin O'Connell's going to get, kind of anxious and want to throw McCarthy out there maybe before he's ready? So that's something I would worry about if they had a tougher schedule to begin with. I don't think he would do that. I think, like you said, I think they have a kind of a set plan in place, and I think he mentioned either in his press conference or sometime recently, O'Connell said like beating Sam Darnold essentially like has nothing to do with when McCarthy's going to play or when he's not going to play. Like they have something that's specific for him. He has to meet certain guidelines and benchmarks, like you said. And when he meets those, then he'll get to play. So like even if he's outperforming Darnold in practice, that could be the case, but he might not have done some things that O'Connell wants out of him first before he starts. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens and how they approach that. I still think McCarthy's going to start week 1. I still feel like that. Um, just the way he goes about, like just that. I know I just went on a rant about not to read into to rookie minicamp, but some of the things you kind of can take away from it. How O'Connell mentioned that McCarthy was like already on the field before everyone else, just kind of going through the plays and stuff that they were installing, whatever, just so he could be as best as he could that one day. Like he's just focused on being as best as possible every time he's out on the field, and I think that could go a long way. And I think if he keeps doing that and plays well in training camp, it's going to be hard to tell someone like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, like, oh, we're gonna ease McCarthy in so you can play with Darnold to begin with. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle all that.
It's like the Jim Harbaugh thing. Did you see that clip where it's not just
Which
today?
one?
Today is the day.
It's today.
It's today. Like, I don't know. It's gonna be it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch that from like afar and just be like, dude, he is insane. Like this would have been.
Oh, we already knew that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, but I feel like there's more of a microscope on shit like that when it happens in the NFL. Like college, you're just like, yeah, I mean, there's a coach over there that eats grass or whatever. Les Miles is like
I
munching
would
on some grass.
say, I don't know if the NFL is thankful or Harbaugh is probably thankful that he's in a market like he is in LA, so he's gonna he's still gonna get covered a lot, but it's with the Chargers, so like the beat's a little smaller. But if he was in a place like Chicago, like we would be hearing about him every day.
Yeah, it would be like Dan Campbell on steroids.
Yeah,
like just completely. One of the other things that is kind of interesting coming in is the Vikings will have a trip to London on the schedule. Yeah. It's another reason why I kind of want to just get a tough start to this season, because the rumor is they're going to play the Houston Texans, who are a playoff team. I don't want JJ McCarthy on the flight going 8 hours just thinking about his first start or whatever. Like, when do you want that London trip to happen? And afterwards, last time a couple years ago, the Vikings did this. They played the week after a home game against Chicago and then went to the bye. Do you want to do that again? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I would rather it be earlier. I think typically they start these games around like week 4-ish, week 4, week 5. So I'd want it to be like week 4, week 5, week 6, something like that. But I liked that they didn't have to bye after. I like that because it's just too early, especially with the extra game in the season. You also get the Thursday night game, which is kind of like a mini bye. But I would like them to have it earlier in the season, week 4, 5, 6, and then have like a Monday night game afterwards to give them an extra day of rest to kind of recover. Hopefully that game is against like an easier opponent. I don't know. Maybe the Bears earlier in the season, because they'd be still trying to figure things out with Caleb Williams and stuff. But yeah, I would prefer them not to have their bye after the London game. I think they were fine after they did that last time. What was against the Saints, you said? So and that was 2022 when they won 13 games. So it seemed to work out just fine. So I would think they would want something similar with this one, especially since they're hosting it. So they're giving up a home game. So I feel like they would probably get a pretty good say about when their bye might be this year, at least not after the London game.
And if I remember that game correctly, so they beat the Saints in London on the double doink. They came home the next week and they jumped out to like a 21-point lead against the Bears. And then the Bears came back and they had to hold on for dear life to win that game. But still, you came out with a lot of energy. Probably they would be jacked up like, all right, we're almost towards the bye. Let's just like blow these guys out of the water so we can coast the rest of the way and just do things that way. The London game's an interesting dynamic because you don't know. I mean, you assume you know who you're playing because it's kind of been leaked out there for a couple of months now.
Sounds like it's the Texans.
Yeah, it sounds like it's the Texans. You're going. I mean, they do have the advantage where Kevin O'Connell has made this trip before, so he probably has a system. Right. He has things that he wanted to do, things that he doesn't want to do this time. I think they'll be fine, but it's just another thing to consider.
Will they leave Lewis Cine there again when they come back?
My dentist said I shouldn't grit my teeth, so I shouldn't do that. But yeah, it's not looking good for Lewis Cine. No. By the way, I don't know if you saw the report.
It's a first-round pick. That's probably the only thing he's really got going for him right now.
That's about it. That's about it. I mean,
I'd like to see him do well.
Right? Yeah. No. there are very few players that I want to see like go into the creek on the
But
Vikings.
there's a reason. Like, there's obviously a reason why he's not on the field.
Right. So Andrew Booth Jr. too.
Yeah.
Also sounding.
Although, according to what was it, ML Football, he's a shutdown corner. I don't know if you saw one of those aggregators that was like shutdown corner Andrew Booth Jr. 90 snaps, like 60% completion percentage and 80 passer rating. Shutdown corner. It's
outstanding. Incredible.
I'm so sick of those.
Unbelievable. The Vikings cut Andrew Booth Jr.
People are like, oh, they're good. They help get out, people's content. I'm like, not like that good of that comes out of them. It does not outweigh the bad that comes out of them.
No. We'll just put it that way. So you said divisional games. You wanted them a little later. Or you said earlier or later? I can't remember. I feel like we've talked about this. Maybe I said I wanted them later, but what do you think?
I think when it comes to Chicago, like going to Chicago and Green Bay, you should always want those games earlier because of the weather. Because they're outside, they would be freezing cold later in the year. I'm going to assume that they're going to play probably, 2 of their final 3 against division opponents. I would prefer them not to be the same opponent like they were last year with the Lions. I didn't think that was good because they didn't really have a whole lot of time to adjust to how like the Lions beat them in the first game and fix things in the second game. I mean, they had Nick Mullins as their quarterback, so there wasn't really a whole lot to figure out. But yeah, I think and I would like them to just be more spread out. I feel like most of them were in the second half of the season last year, and that was kind of weird. But I'm going to expect the Vikings to probably finish the season against the Bears at home, and we'll see how it goes from there. But yeah, I would like them. Obviously, the road trips earlier in the year with Chicago and Green Bay. Detroit will be interesting. Like, maybe that could be a Thanksgiving game. That's always a factor when it comes with the Lions. So that'd be interesting to see. But yeah, just spread them out more. Last year, it felt like they were all clumped together at the end of the season, and the Vikings were kind of left scrambling because they were falling apart. And then it's like, oh yeah, you have to compete in your division too, by the way, and they didn't have enough pieces to do that. So,
like, I look at the divisional game, like you were talking about getting off to a hot start. I think the division's going to be really good next year. I think Chicago is going to be better with. I mean, I know we love to shit on the Bears, but I mean, they got.
We're going to stop them.
I'm stopping short of that, but I mean, you look at their passing attack. Caleb Williams might have some ups and downs, but you got Keenan Allen, you got Rowan Madunze, and I keep forgetting they still have DJ Moore as a top target in that
DeAndre
offense.
Swift.
Yeah, and DeAndre Swift too.
And Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
Their defense is good though. Their defense is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be an interesting team. The Packers, they are the youngest team in the NFL, but progress is not linear. So I'm wondering if I think Jordan Love will be fine. I think we're probably seeing the peak version of like. If there's another level of Jordan Love, fuck. Like that's a problem for the Vikings because he's pretty good at the end of last season. Yeah. And then you have Detroit, who they're still going to be, I was going to call them a bear, but technically they're a lion. But
they got a first place schedule though this year. They're going to have that's a team that's probably going to have a lot of tough games to begin with because the NFL is going to want to make sure if this team sucks, we're going to want to have them play all their good games early. So, glorious 80s. That's when the Packers were at the bottom, right?
Glorious 80s. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Magic Man era.
The Bears were at the top.
Yes. So back to the glorious 80s for this division. Lions got this year, and then the cellar for the next 10 years. That's from David Ditter in our comment section. Dem boys good. I don't know if that's like a Briscoes thing or like a
Cowboys, right?
Or it might be a Cowboys thing, but he says Caleb Williams will be a bust. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, there's some red flags there. Possible. Yeah, I mean, people talk about people like to bring up like him crying in the crowd and like all that stuff. And yeah, he's probably got to cut that shit out. But I mean, somebody said he's like Prince if he played quarterback. Well, this is a Minnesota Vikings podcast. I don't see a problem with that. You know, how you've seen the Dave Chappelle thing, you know, that cat could ball.
Yeah, people get mad when we watch the NCAA tournament, the basketball tournament, and there's dudes crying when they lose in those games? Didn't seem to be a problem before, but with Caleb Williams, I feel
crying in football.
I feel like is he a bust if he has like a career like Kyler Murray is having right now? Would that be bust?
Kyler's getting paid. He's doing something right.
So like bust, he's got a lot of room to be a bust. Playing for the Bears is not a good start because they just don't have a good history with quarterbacks. But I feel like he's gonna. Reluctantly, I'm saying I feel like he's gonna be good. So.
I'm just gonna bring this up one last time here because Dem Boy's good brought up he is mentally weak in playing for the Bears where he goes where QBs go to die.
I mean,
that's not a great sign for the Vikings either with JJ McCarthy because we haven't found a franchise quarterback in 40 years. So
yeah, I mean, and I'm pretty sure his weapons with the Bears now are much better than what he had at USC. I think his best receiver was Jerry Rice's kid, and he got drafted in the 5th or the 6th round.
Mm-hmm.
So he did have Jordan Addison for a year, and that's when USC was good. So I don't know. I'm just wait and see with him. He's got a good situation like JJ McCarthy does. If you wanted to say Drake May is going to be a bust, I would be fully on board with that. Not because I don't think he has the talent, but it's because KJ Osborne right now is his number one receiver. That's nothing against KJ, but he's not a number one receiver.
Adam Thielen said he was.
Adam Thielen said a lot of things.
Yeah. I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, I'm not like a Caleb Williams fanboy. I'm just kind of pointing out there. I'm like,
he was number one pick for like 2 years.
I would be shocked if he went out and was just dog shit. That's all I'm saying.
Right? Yeah. Like, there's a reason why he was. Whoa! People knew he was going to be the number one pick for like the last 2 years.
With the schedule thing, just the NFC North, just very quickly, like last year, the Vikings had 4 divisional games in the last 6 weeks. I like that, honestly, because it allows you to hold your own destiny. Last year, the Vikings had that chance at the end of the year where you're sitting there and you're going like, okay, the division title's still in play. If we win these next couple of games, we're there. The problem was the Vikings were so beat up by that point, they couldn't make up for it. So, I mean, having that bank is always nice, but also knowing, hey, if we stumble a game or two in the beginning, the season's not over. We could pull some levers, we can make some changes, and we can still win this division.
If they won those games, they probably have Bo Nix now. So.
Yeah.
Or maybe not, because the Broncos that's the guy they always wanted. So
yes.
Number one target.
Let's move on here. Let's see. I'm just seeing what we got for time.
We're good.
What's some of your favorite road trips on the schedule?
Well, you asked me for my favorite, but I'm going to give you my least favorite.
Is it Green Bay?
No.
Okay.
It's fine. Green Bay's good. I mean, I've never been there, and I know they have bleacher seats, but I know that the stadium is actually probably in better shape than a lot of.
It is pretty cool from the outside. I've seen it from the outside. Never been in it, but from the outside, it looks pretty cool.
Always at the Bears because the field is just garbage every time. I don't know why. Maybe they'll fix it if Caleb Williams his knee falls off. At the Seahawks, Vikings never win in Seattle. I really cannot remember the last time they won in Seattle. I want to say it was like 2006 before they got Adrian Peterson. I remember. I think Chester Taylor had a big game, and then at the Giants again with awful playing surface at MetLife, which is just asking for disaster with the Vikings. So basically, any team that has a terrible field or a place where the Vikings haven't won in 2 decades. I'm
looking here.
Those are my least favorite.
Seattle last win. 2006. The Vikings won 31-13 in Seattle, October 22nd, 2006.
Almost 2 decades.
Have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight games in Seattle since.
Well, there was that one. Was it 2020 during the pandemic when It was the Madison 4th and 2 or whatever,
Yep.
and he didn't get
The
it,
4th and 1, and Madison had the wide open hole.
and then who's the cornerback? Cam Dantzler just fucking left DK Metcalf wide open down the sideline. Yeah, that was good.
I'll never forget Harrison Smith's reaction to that play.
the fuck?
God damn it, Cam. Or no,
Well-
did he say an F-bomb?
Or he was like,
It was something
he
like that.
definitely probably did, but like everyone knew, everyone knew. As soon as Madison didn't get that 4th down, the game was over because Russell Wilson was going to drive the entire field. And I think I remember Zimmer be like, "Oh, he still had to go 90 yards." And it's like, I guess what they did. So, yeah, I just
Not great.
And then there was that one game that was like 3-0 at the half. I think I remember. It was like it was a Monday night or a Sunday night game. It was like 3-0 at the half.
That was DiFilippo's last game in 2018.
Yes.
Because he got canned the week after. And I think Eric Kendricks have a pick 6 in that game?
Yes.
He did something.
He had an interception.
Yeah.
I remember that. I don't know if it was
the
pick
Seahawks
6,
had the full highlighter uniforms and everything. It's weird how
Marcus
you remember.
Marcus Sherrills, did he have a punt return in that game?
Maybe. It's weird how you can remember like little things from a random game, and like, when you go to the grocery store, you can't remember you need bread or something. Get home shit.
It's the important stuff.
Honey, did you get bread? No, but I remember Eric Kendricks had an interception in a game in Seattle in 2018. That's great. We need sandwiches though.
I remember that the Vikings got a 1st-round pick when they traded Brad Johnson to Washington in like 1999. They got a 1st-round pick for him.
That's crazy. And you know who the 1st-round pick was?
Was it Culpepper or was
Dante Culpepper?
Oh yeah, that's right.
So you never know. Road trips on the schedule. I like Nashville. Nashville's in my crosshairs. Never been there. I like country music. I'm not like a diehard. Jelly
Chicken.
Roll was in my section at the Royal Rumble though. That was cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
His I think I told you this. His guitarist wrote our theme song.
Oh, really?
It's his old band, but he's the guitarist for Jelly Roll now. Yeah.
It's a sweet gig if you can get it.
Right.
Yeah. How many primetime games should the Vikings have this year?
Well, they're gonna have Thursday night. I feel like Kirk Cousins has to be primetime. But it's like, come on, it's easy money. Whether that's week 1 or whenever. I looked it up, and they've had a primetime game against the Bears or Packers in 10 of the last 11 seasons. So that's 3. That's pretty much a given. And then I think probably maybe like against the Rams with like O'Connell against McVay, or the Jets against Rodgers. So I put the over under, and then the possibility of the Lions game, one of the Lions games being flexed to like the end of the season or something. So I put the over under at 4.5 for primetime games for the Vikings.
4.5. I said 3, but I could see 4.
I think at least 3. At least 3 for sure.
Yeah, I think the 3 I have written down are Atlanta, Detroit, and LA. And you could also look at the Jets at home because they love featuring Aaron Rodgers in every situation. Even if he's not on the field, they love featuring Aaron Rodgers in the Jets. Look, it's the Jets. Watch the Jets.
Didn't they have Aaron Rodgers on during the Vikings Monday night game last year?
Yeah.
The Niners.
They did. He was a guest on the Manning cast. It's Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. What do you think of the Vikings? I hate them. Okay. On to the next question.
What about does Thanksgiving count as primetime? Or does it have to be at night? I feel like it should count, right?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, if they play Thanksgiving night,
there's only 3 games now. There's 3.
Yeah. I think that's they call those island games because they're like the only game going on.
Like if there's a Saturday game, that's not prime time. Like when they played, they played the Colts when they had to come back. That was on a Saturday.
Yes.
And they played the Bengals last year.
Yes.
Not prime time though. So yeah, they should have a good amount, but they don't. I mean, we cover the team, so we probably enjoy them not being on prime time as much, especially me because I have kids and they're exhausting. But yeah, I think at least 3 for sure.
Well, thinking about the schedule, I felt like I should take a crack at my own schedule. what would the dream schedule be like for the 2024 Minnesota Vikings? And I have a couple of things that I did and did not do. One, I did not try to pinpoint the national TV games, although I will kind of mention here and there, this game could be a national one. And I went off of three principles that I wanted. I wanted tough opponents out of the way early. I wanted a lull in the middle, and I wanted a heavy divisional finish so you could control your destiny, in those words. And going back to the comment section here, I just want to point this out. This is from user Unknown Mojo. He says, no clue why the league doesn't schedule a division run through each half of the season. Helps avoid favoring teams due to injury. So you play everybody once in the first half,
Kind of what I
once in
wanted,
the
yeah.
second half. That's not a bad idea.
No.
And I think even though I said, hey, I want heavy division at the end of the season, like it kind of works out that way where you're playing divisional opponents right away and then you're playing divisional opponents at the end. So that's kind of it. So are you ready for my ultimate 2024 schedule for the Vikings?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Week 1. This is the game that everybody wants to know. Who is it going to be? I see it now. I see the theme in the background. Dun, 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 dun. We go live to US Bank Stadium with Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons, with Michael Penix looking over his shoulder, getting ready to take on the Minnesota Vikings. Just gritting his teeth as he's warming up, like, I don't really like this. Falcons social team just has a whole bunch of, put another chain on, Kirk. Here, have another one. I think the NFL can't resist itself. I think it's going to be the Sunday. If not Sunday, it's going to be Monday night. Kirk Cousins returning to the Metronome, US Bank Stadium to take on the Minnesota. We're going to bring back
we're going to build it back up.
It's the shirt. I'm sorry.
I'm going to rebuild it just for Kirk Cousins. I think it's going to be a Monday night, like one of the doubleheader ones. I'm just assuming Cowboys and Giants will be Sunday night, because it always is. Or Cowboys, Eagles, I guess. No, Eagles are against the Packers in Brazil, so they can't even be on there.
Yeah. David Ditter also said this in the comments. He goes, Penix starting by week 10, over or under?
I'm going to say over, because Kirk doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to. And
what do you think it would take?
He doesn't ever play bad enough to get benched. Like, he just plays okay. So where you're like, he could have played better, but he wasn't the main reason why we lost, which was the whole like thing why it was like we were annoyed that he was getting paid so much money because he was never the reason why they lost, but he was never the reason why they won either. So
yeah,
I just don't think he's going to play bad enough to get benched. Has he ever gotten benched ever since?
No,
like I don't think
not since his Washington days.
Yeah, and that was like his second, probably one of his first few years, if that.
Yeah. So I think it'll be 2 years before Penix starts for them. And I don't know. Is that worth it for fun, though?
You said you read about is it Florio or some other sites, but they're already thinking about how to get rid of him at least after a year, which is hilarious.
It's wild.
It's possible if the Falcons want to do that, and they want to get rid of him, especially if they're he doesn't play well.
Like you kind of feel sorry for Kirk, and then you realize, oh yeah, he took the money, so at least he's getting paid, I guess.
Yeah.
Week 2 at the Green Bay Packers. You play the Packers at Lambeau early. You get that warm weather instead of the cold weather, and you cross another playoff opponent off the list.
Is that an afternoon game?
We'll go afternoon game. Yeah.
I like it. What was it? I think it was Kirk's first year. Was it 2018 when they had the tie?
Yeah. Rookie kicker. Oh no.
That ridiculous pass to Thielen. That was like peak Kirk Cousins with the Vikings, I feel like. And then for whatever reason, a couple weeks later, he was just not good.
Yeah. Yeah, it just kind of fell off a cliff right there. Yeah. John DeFilippo taking the fall. Him and I remember John DeFilippo's sneaker collection and how much people talked about that.
But, really helped him out.
The Jays didn't help him, no.
No.
Week 3 at home against the San Francisco 49ers.
Ooh.
The defending NFC champions. You got the Sam Darnold revenge game out there. The 49ers looking to avenge one of their most notable losses of last season. I think the Niners come to US Bank Stadium in week 3.
Yeah, I can see that being a Sunday night game.
And I believe the Niners haven't won in Minnesota since what?
1990.
1990. Yeah.
Yep.
Since Jerry Rice and Steve Young were chucking in around.
Was it Steve Young or was it Montana?
Was it Montana? Here, when did Montana get traded? All right, this is going to bother me. Hang on. No Montana trade. Dude, I need like music here.
Well, is
Joe Montana was traded. What was that?
Is Ayuk or Debo going to still be on the Niners by the time this game happens?
That could be a great question too. Joe Montana was traded to Kansas City in 1993.
So he was still on it. He might have been benched. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Niners were doing back then. I was 3 years old. I did not follow the Niners when I was 3 years old.
I used to have one of those San Francisco 49ers plastic lockers. Because before Randy Moss, like I love the Niners were cool because of Jerry Rice and Steve Young. Yeah, exactly. Like that was like peak 90s, like San Francisco 49ers and Orlando Magic starter jackets. Charlotte Hornets too.
Playing the Chargers in the Super Bowl.
Yes, and just shredding the hell out of them.
Yeah.
I remember that. Week 4. I have the Vikings going to London, and I have them playing the Houston Texans. Travel is a bitch here, but you get another playoff team and it's in a different setting. So let's knock that out of the way. Let's go across the pond and take care of business here.
Diggs and Daniel Hunter.
Yes.
Anybody else over there? Oh, I guess it would be the Blake Cashman and Jonathan Grenard revenge games too.
Just revenge everywhere. Like a whole bunch of people just playing unhinged. Just
it is kind of sad though that like
team.
Diggs' first time being the away team against the Vikings probably won't be in Minnesota.
Do you think Vikings fans would cheer him?
Yes. Fans like him.
Yeah.
Coaches don't.
I know. Coaches in front office people definitely do not.
Fans like him.
But I mean, if they showed Stephon Diggs on like the big screen and like, what's the PA guy's name?
Peterson.
Just like,
yeah,
this is true.
Diggs.
Please welcome back. I mean, the Wild, they do a video for everybody.
Yeah.
Here's Victor Rask. Everybody cheer for Victor Rask. Like they would do the same for set. Please welcome Case Keenum and Stephon Diggs.
Oh my God. They would
like people would go nuts. I would think.
They would get a standing ovation. I'm what was it, 18, 17? So like 2027, I feel like they're gonna do like a 10-year probably anniversary or whatever at halftime or something of some game for the Minneapolis Miracle probably.
I'm still convinced that game will go down as the happiest day of my life.
For now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Come on, Timberwolves.
Yeah, come on. Let's do some. Let's not get backed into the paint.
Play some defense.
7 feet. I know you're tired because you just had a kid, but come on, that's no excuse not.
Yeah,
to
he's
play
not getting any sleep right now. Although he probably has hired help. So
yeah, just get some sleep in the hotel room and show up on Tuesday. Week 5, Vikings come home. I'm using the same basis that they said, hey, we don't want a bye week. We want to pick our opponent. And they choose the Arizona Cardinals over the Chicago Bears.
Right.
Probably one of the weaker home opponents on their schedule. Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. should be a problem, but I think other than that, there's not a lot that tells me Arizona is going to contend this year. So
whoa. They just signed Zay Jones.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Remember?
Is he
after telling you that?
Is he due for another meltdown or something where he's like eating glass and saying he saw Jesus or something?
No. Who else is there? They have Greg Dortch. Oh yeah, I forgot about it. They don't have they don't have that guy anymore. They traded him to the Falcons.
They went pew 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 off to Atlanta.
Who did the Cardinals have on defense? Do they have anybody? I can't think of one. I can't name one player on their defense.
No.
Buda Baker. There we go. Buda Baker.
Are we sure he didn't sign somewhere?
But he's there, but he doesn't want to be there, but he's there.
Well, he's rocking everywhere, I bet.
Yeah.
Buddha. Sorry, I
All
need
right.
to.
All right.
Let's move on. Week 6, I have the Vikings getting their bye. And I think this might be the time Kevin O'Connell looks and goes, maybe he's got the bean in his hand, like, you must grab it in order to start. And JJ McCarthy grabs it and he goes, you are ready.
That's an early buy.
That is an early buy, but I think maybe that's what will happen because
I guess if
week
they
7,
I guess if they have a Thursday night game, like more like the later on in the season, that's kind of a mini buy. So that's
yeah.
Okay.
So week 7, I have the Vikings going on the road, and I have them going to Tennessee. And a lot more people will go to this game if it's JJ McCarthy's first start. I don't know if they do it on the road, but Tennessee's not going to be good. So I think
I don't know. I don't know. I think they might be sneaky. They had a lot of good players this year. Like
they have a lot of good players.
They added a lot. They traded for who's the dude that bet on Calvin Ridley. They signed Tony Pollard. They already had DeAndre Hopkins. Like they have decent players, I guess. They're not. It's not that. I guess it's the who gonna stop them.
They have a fantasy team from 3 years ago.
But I do think they could be a team that's like could cause some problems next year. So I don't know if they're going to be as bad as some people think they're going to be.
They'll be a little bit difficult. What, Derrick Henry went to Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, John Harbaugh was like, I am sick of all my running backs tearing things and like getting hurt. Like, we're just gonna get a truck and ride them in the back. Week 8, I have the Vikings playing their second divisional road game, and I have them going on the road, take on Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. Everybody loves Dan Campbell. I think it'll be a primetime game. And I think it'll be Vikings at Detroit.
I think this is perfect for like game of the week on Fox Sunday afternoon. Tom Brady and is it Tom Brenneman or Kevin Burkhardt?
Yes. Yeah. Tom Brenneman is the guy who did the Nick Castellanos thing where he said something naughty in Kansas City. And yeah, he used to do it. He's like, and that's a deep drive by Castellanos. I'm really sorry.
No, it's Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady, and unless Tom Brady decides he wants to play again, which is always possible.
Which, yeah, the Vikings might give him a call at this point. This could be his debut in Detroit. week 8. Yes. Week 9, I have the Vikings coming back home, taking on Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. We talked a little bit about the Bears a little bit beforehand. Week 10, hide your ayahuasca. Aaron Rodgers is coming to town. I could see this being a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Justin Jefferson versus Sauce Gardner is a matchup I'd probably want to watch the most.
Yeah. I mean, but they'll focus on the quarterback because,
Well, yeah. Well, Aaron Rodgers' career record at U.S. Bank Stadium is not that great. Actually, it isn't that good, actually.
No. Just zoom in on him. You could just see in his eyes. He's got like Boston's album cover in there. Just like, more than a feeling. Oh, wow. That was out of tune. All right.
Who are their receivers? Didn't they add somebody? Did they draft somebody? Oh, they got the kid from Western Kentucky, right? I think so. What's his name? Malachi? I want to say
Malachi
Richardson?
Black.
Malachi Richardson or Black? Yeah.
Yeah, House of Black with get all 3 of them. I take Brody King on the defensive line for the Vikings. Just like
he's a big guy.
He's a big dude. Just shit wrecker that we need. Week 11, I have them going out to Seattle. You mentioned it's a tough place to play. I don't know if the Seahawks are good.
Doesn't matter. That's a loss.
Yeah, I mean that's always tough. I have them staying out on the West Coast in week 12, taking on the LA Rams in the McVay Bowl. It's going to be like the time they met in Vegas and stayed out till 2 a.m. at the blackjack table.
And they traded for Matthew Stafford and Kyle.
How would you like to be my offensive coordinator at like 4 a.m. at a Vegas buffet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that sounds like fun.
Well, I think the Rams are going to be good next year.
I think so too. So. I mean, didn't they draft Blake Corum to go with Kyron Williams now? Lost Aaron Donald. but
they got Puka. Cooper Cup should be healthier. Who else did they have? I don't know. Matthew Stafford's healthier, I guess. But
well,
yeah, I think they should be better.
the other thing to remember about this is this game's going to be about 60% Vikings fans anyway.
No Aaron Donald though.
No Aaron Donald, but there'll be a lot of purple in the stands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I might even go to the game. You never know.
A lot of people are going to be out there. Week 13 against Indianapolis. Indianapolis returns since Kirk Cousins ruined Matt Ryan's career. Anthony Richardson, year 2. That should be fun.
He also ruined Jeff Saturday's coaching career. God, you forgot to mention that.
He wasn't scared to blow a 33-point lead.
Right. He was on his way to a huge win over a playoff Vikings team, and then I'm not a coach.
Yes.
You ever heard him talk about that game where he was like, "Yeah, we didn't. I think they're up 33-0 at the half."
Yeah.
And it was like, "Yeah, we didn't think we were going to win that game." When we went in the locker room, like you're up 33-0. How do you not think you're going to win?
And a lot of the things in that game were self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah, there were a lot of special teams and turnovers and stuff.
I think Kirk threw a pick 6, if I remember correct. Like it was just punt. It was like everything that could go wrong went wrong, and then the Vikings were like, "Oh, we're better than this team, so let's play like it."
That's fun.
Week 14 at the New York Giants. Daniel Jones' revenge game if he's not benched by then.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Who's their
Malik Neighbors does not like Daniel Jones.
Yo, he didn't he end his bet or whatever?
He had a Rookie of the Year bet and he canceled it.
I feel like
he's like, yeah, you win.
I feel like there's some other things that factored into that. Betting. First off, but yeah, not having Daniel Jones as your quarterback probably not helping you. Who's their backup? Is it Drew Lock? Is their backup? I think it is. I think it's Drew Lock.
Tyrod goes somewhere else, or Tyrod, whatever.
Yeah,
his name
is. Who's he with? The Jets. He's with the
Jets. So he went across the. I don't even know where they practice over there.
Ever seen that? That game Charles Barkley plays on inside the NBA, where who does he play for? We should do that before the season.
The Shanghai Sharks.
Yeah. Who's Josh McCown play for?
We'll have some time in the summer. Maybe we'll set that up.
Oh, yeah.
So week 14 at the Giants, week 15 at Detroit or against Detroit. Sorry. This is a stretch of 3 divisional games in the final 4 weeks. So control your destiny, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would rather start with Detroit than end with them. At least the way they played last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that.
Week 16, go to Chicago. Not ideal, but I don't know. I thought about switching the Bears and the Giants game, but once you get past week 8, Chicago is the same. And you have to go there sometime. I don't think they'd, especially since they're going to London, I don't think they'd jam Green Bay and Chicago in the same half. So
that'll be a Monday night game.
Yeah, probably. It always is. That in Seattle. They always do. Seattle could be a Thursday night game now that I think about it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock because they always go out there in prime time. Maybe that's part of the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think that game they won in 2006 wasn't in prime time.
Yeah.
Normal time.
It's a little afternoon game.
That's weird. Wonder why they do that.
So week 16, you go to Chicago. Week 17, you go out to Jacksonville. That one's for the Snowbirds. Will also probably be 60% Vikings fans because everybody's going to be like Florida in early January. Hell yeah. Pool. So
got to go in that pool out there that they have in the stands or whatever. Right.
Yeah. Say hello to Daly's place while you're there.
Very sanitary, that pool, I'm sure.
Nobody has ever gotten drunk and thrown up in that pool, I assume.
Never.
I wouldn't if I were in that pool. And then finally, week 18, hosting the Green Bay Packers.
I think I just saw a comment, but made me think of this. But that Jacksonville game is typically a game where they're like, oh, they got the Jaguars. They're going to get back on track. And then they get blown out by the Jaguars or the Colts. It was that one year or somebody else.
Yeah,
that's a game where you're like, what? Why are they on my 20 with 2 quarters to go.
As I'm like sitting in the I remember that Colts game. Not to keep focusing on it, but I had to cover a South Dakota State football
Oh,
game that
and,
Saturday.
2016 when Adrian Peterson came back, and I think they lost like 31-6.
Oh yeah,
And
the
they're like,
Alex Boone game.
yes.
So he said, "Never meet your heroes," because AP pulled himself from the game. And then
Yeah, I think Kyle Rudolph said after the game, like, "Yep, usually we have a clunker every year. Looks like this one's it." It's like, yeah, way to go. Then you missed the playoff, guys.
the WTF game, the one game where
It's usually around Christmas too.
yeah. Although the Buffalo game was like the third game of the season when Josh Allen jumped over Anthony Barr and it's like a Mario mushroom or something up there.
That was bad.
So just to recap, in case you logged off or whatever, here's my schedule. Week 1 against Atlanta, week 2 at Green Bay, week 3 against San Francisco, week 4 against Houston in London, week 5 against Arizona, a week 6 bye, week 7 at Tennessee, week 8 at Detroit, week 9 against Chicago, week 10 against the Jets, week 11 at Seattle, week 12 at the LA Rams, week 13 against Indianapolis, week 14 at the Giants, week 15 against Detroit, week 16 at the Bears, week 17 at Jacksonville, and week 18 against Green Bay. What do you think?
I like it. The bye is really the only problem I have because I just think it's too early. But if like the Giants game, what's that, week 14 or 15? If that's Thursday night game, that'll give them some extra rest before the Lions game. So I think it's pretty good. It's not too much. There aren't any real long, road trip stretches or even really any homestands really either. And yeah, I think it's a good mix of everything. We'll see if it happens. Because you never know with the NFL what they want to do. But
I mean, this is like the thing where it's like, yeah, this isn't gonna matter in like 2 days, but it's still fun to do, right? Like mock drafts. It's like Michael Penix just went 8. Okay.
I'm just happy that they're not playing the Eagles next year because I feel like this is the first time in like 20 years we're not playing the Eagles on the road.
Remember, like, I think it was in the 2000s too, like when the Giants were good, they would always play the Giants, like in some fact, like it was like 6 straight years
on the road
like,
too.
I'm really sick of Kerry Collins right now.
I think it was that one game where they had they scored a touchdown. I think they had a defensive touchdown, a punt return, a kick return, and like a field goal block. They scored touchdowns on all of those against the Giants, like one crazy year. I think somebody whose name we don't speak of had a big game that game. He was a good defender, but we don't need to talk about him.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I'm thinking about the Thursday night game. I can't remember the last time they played a divisional opponent unless it was Thanksgiving on Thursday. So I could see like the Seahawks, Giants, maybe the Jaguars if it's earlier. One of those being, or the Rams. I guess you could do the Rams too on Thursday night. Yeah, that would keep Al Michaels probably happy because he wouldn't have to go far.
Just lighting up a cigarette in the broadcast booth. All right, I got the over on this one, and I got a couple Justin Jefferson prop bets. What do you think, Kirk?
Now we got to figure out if the Vikings are going to be, if they're going to be on Netflix, if they're going to be on Peacock. Just a heads up to all the people in the local market. If they're on any of those networks, you still get those games for free because they're broadcast locally on your local network if you're in the Minneapolis market. But if you're outside, yeah, you probably got to buy 5 different streaming platforms or just wait and just do the free trial right before.
How am I going to pay for all these subscriptions when I can't watch the NFL with that, but I'll pay $70 for this UFC fight?
Nah, not doing that.
Yeah.
Also, there's non-legal streaming as well. So
Minnesota fans are very familiar with that right now because nobody can watch the Twins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are they broadcasting still on on Bally or whatever, but they're just not showing
So
them in Minnesota?
so the problem is, long story short, their contract with Bally expired at the end of the last year.
Yeah.
So then they went out and they were like, maybe
Happened
we'll
with the
do like a
Padres too.
streaming thing.
Padres
And
did that.
Corey Provis, who does the TV now, he's like, blackouts are gonna end, but they couldn't get a guaranteed check if they did it that way. So they're like, we'll just re-up with Bally's. And I guess in their defense, at the time Amazon was coming in, they were talking about maybe putting the games on Prime. So the problem with all of this is limited people could see the games on Bally anyway.
Right.
And then Bally's contract with Comcast, who's like the biggest provider in the Twin Cities, that expired. And they're basically not even close to a deal. So majority of the Twin Cities can't even watch the Twins right now.
And they're playing good, right?
And they've won 17 in the last 20 games. Perfect timing. So maybe we have to keep them away. Baseball is a very superstitious sport.
It was like back in the olden days when you could only really watch, like, well, I guess if you're in Minnesota, you could watch them, but growing up, you could only watch, like, you had to wait for them to be on TBS or something, or on the Fox, like, weekend game or something.
Remember when they blacked out Viking games because they couldn't sell it out?
I mean, I never lived in Minnesota.
Yeah, I guess you never
never
lived.
got-
So like that was the thing.
They would black out Bills games where I lived.
Yeah. Like Vikings games would like be threatened to be blacked out, and like people would drive out to, like, living in Rochester, La Crosse is like an hour away. So they would go across the Wisconsin border and like go to a bar.
There would
with
actually
Sunday
be
ticket.
a lot of Bills blackouts because they were terrible the first, like, 20 years of the millennium.
And then MLB got rid of them, or excuse me, NFL got rid of them, which MLB should probably follow suit, but that's for another podcast.
They're 10 years behind with like everything else.
Exactly. What's going on at the Viking Age right now?
Just getting ready for that schedule release, which is Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central. We find out officially. I'm sure there'll be plenty of valid and invalid leaks from notable and non-notable sources. You know, I think I've already seen a handful of NFL schedule leaks accounts, which have like 500 followers, and everyone's like, "But look at this, look at this, look at this." But no, wait for, you know, the Schefters and the Peliceros and the Rappaports to, well, even some of the local beat reporters, sometimes they have a little scoop as well. But yeah, we're getting ready for the schedule. And then I think next on the docket is some more OTAs, and then mandatory minicamp will be coming up. We'll see if Justin Jefferson's in attendance for that. Just wrote something about how probably he's probably not gonna sign his extension until like a week before the season starts, because he's represented by the same agent who did Joe Burrow's contract and Nick Bosa's contract, and both of those guys signed a week before the start of last season. So we're going to get to enjoy a whole summer of people freaking out because Justin Jefferson's not extended, and he might not practice as much because he's not extended. It's going to be fun.
Justin Jefferson has an ear infection. His back hurts.
What's the Joe Mauer thing?
Bilateral leg weakness.
Yeah, it's going to pop up. It's going to flare up again.
Yeah, just like I've contacted Joe. I've asked him, you know, how to get through this, and
he's just taking it one step at a time. Just doing things on the side, you know.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get him back on the field sooner than later.
The resistance bands or something. That's like all he's doing.
Yep.
Oh shit. Where can people follow you on social, Adam?
Adam Patrick NFL on Twitter and Threads. Although I did just see Threads might be merging with Instagram and becoming Facebook Pro. I don't know if that's true. It's the internet. Can't believe everything. But yeah, Threads and Twitter. Find me on there. Adam Patrick NFL.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow me as well at The Real Schad, Instagram, X, Threads, although I never post there anymore, but I should probably
TikTok.
do something. Yeah, a little bit of TikTok until that gets shut down. So, yeah. That's all the time we have for the Viking Age podcast today. We do this every Monday with a late week episode right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day. But however you consume us, make sure you rate, comment, like, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode and we can spread the word to the masses. For Adam Patrick, I am Chris Schad. This has been the Viking Age podcast.